What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss if there'll ever be an LA Noire 2. Now, I've actually been asked in the past a few times about making a video like this. And, the question of it, or I should say the answer. The answer is very, very short and to the point. And it's no. I really don't ever think we will get a return to LA Noire. And the answer, no, comes with really, it's the story of what happened with LA Noire. It's the story of what happened with Team Bondi that finishes it off, right? Team Bondi was a troubled company that had problems right from the beginning, had terrible management, had some very slimy / dirty / not necessarily illegal, but some very, very spotty things going on throughout the duration of LA Noire, and basically ended LA Noire on, it was kind of like, oh, thank God this game is finally released after all of these years of misery, shuffling through so many different employees because they would get employees, then they would leave, or they would quit, or they'd be fired. All these different things. There were so many problems with Team Bondi, and there's actually a video, I think, what happened with LA Noire or something like that. There's a video out there that explains and goes through like a 40-minute, documentary style kind of thing of what happened with LA Noire. It's super, super good. So if you want to know the story of it, definitely go watch that. But it really paints the picture of it was a disaster. And so when you think of an LA Noire 2, the biggest thing you think of is, not every game needs, or not every franchise needs the developer, the same one that started it or the same one that made one, to continue it, okay? Numerous times in the gaming industry, we see games passed off from developers. It's not, I think, necessarily the greatest thing in the world, or maybe to be more fair, it's not the most ideal thing. Naturally, you'd probably want the people that started it, because whenever you make a franchise, it's their ideas, it's their just thoughts and their creative vision for whatever they want the game to be. It's theirs. And if you have different people working on it, naturally it's going to change a little bit. Now, I get it, right? And also, you're not going to keep every single person, even on a studio, say, that makes 3 games. Let's go with like the Arkham games, just because I'm thinking about that quite often. Arkham Asylum, City Night, okay, from Rocksteady. It's not like every single person that made Asylum stayed and made the other 2. And it's also not, and they probably added people as well, right? As the studio got bigger, it probably expanded a little bit. So naturally, you are going to have different people. But when your studio is gone, in the case of Team Bondi, you have nothing that was with the original LA Noire. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think any of them would want to come back in the situation that they had back again with LA Noire. The other problem to it is also the technology of it. Yes, the technology ironically still holds up now, but there would still, I feel like, be a lot of work to it. It took them an extremely, extremely long time to make that game because of that facial technology. It took a very long time to record and to capture all of that stuff. And that stuff is kind of what makes LA Noire, right? Like the facial animations, being able to tell if they're lying. And here's the thing, I'm not bagging on the game. For all the hardships that Team Bondi went through, I love LA Noire. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think when you look at like the GTA games and all that kind of stuff, I think that this game, or Red Dead, Bully, anything like this, maybe it's not the greatest of all of them, but it's very, very unique. And I loved it the first time I played it. I beat it, and I actually went back again and I platinumed the game. I don't know why I did that, but I did it, and I actually got the platinum, getting like every single question right, getting every single clue, all that stuff. So I'm actually a really big fan of this game, and it pains me to say the answer is no, because we know they actually were going to make a second game, not LA Noire 2, but a second game in general, and they had the teaser trailer for it come up. Remember, it was supposed to be, I believe, a PS4 exclusive, and the game was canceled. Okay, or actually, I think LA Noire was actually supposed to be a PS3. So they've actually had history with Sony in the past, but they did have a second game being worked on before the studio was closed down. So if anything, we were never actually, the question shouldn't even be would we get an LA Noire 2. We weren't ever actually even going to get it with Team Bondi themselves, or at least not next, right? Maybe the game after that, they would return to it. But it's interesting. It's a game franchise that, look, at the end of the day, it's owned, right? Like, people own this franchise or this IP, and at any given point, yes, it could be brought back, right? Take-Two could one day bring back this franchise as the biggest owners of it. So it's not impossible that we would never get an LA Noire 2. The way that the game is, it does have some sort of style to it. It does have some sort of energy to it and different mechanics that really no other game. Like, there's been detective games, there's been police kind of games, and that kind of like just the way they've told the story. There has been games that have done that, but the fact of putting it all together and doing it as in depth as they did, and having that facial technology that really. It's funny because other games I think have done it better. Like, you look at Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2, and she looks like Ashley Johnson, but she also looks like her game character Ellie, right? Like, you don't look at it and you're super like put off because it's like, oh, I'm watching the actress Ashley Johnson in this game. It's like, oh, it's getting real close. Games are getting real close to having like the people who are playing them in the game. But still, you have like Kratos, and I know I'm just doing like PlayStation things, but you have like Nathan Drake. He doesn't necessarily look like Nolan North, right? So I think there is something to the way LA Noire did it, but at the same time, it looked good. Obviously, it's been a very, very long time, so it has aged a little bit. But I don't know how it would work nowadays. I guess it would have to continue to blend with the gaming industry, where it'd be like, okay, it continuously looks better, right? It looks even better now, but it also has that feel to it where you can really tell every single in-tight emotion. But another problem with that was, because that was the main focus, and because they put so much effort towards that and a lot of other things, they forgot to inhabit the world. The world was extremely empty, and they even talked about that in that video I was talking about. They even talked about how they actually didn't. I think they had 2 people working on that part of the game, where like art designers, they had like 1 or 2 people, or programmers as well. So they really didn't have anybody to put people into this world. And also, you had the facial stuff, but then when you're playing the game and you're in that third person, it wasn't the same thing, right? Because it was just such a different part of the game that it didn't work. So was it flawed? Yeah. Was it a lot of what happened with Team Bondi's fault? Yeah, it was. And when it comes to a future game, there is something with that IP. And I guess the good news is the IP has never been forgotten. There were those case files, there was a remaster, there was a VR case file. So they've continuously, to give them credit, they've continuously brought this game back. I don't necessarily think as like tests to see if people like it, because the game sold really well. It's just that the budget for the game was so expensive, so ginormous, that they could have never made their money back. They were always going to lose money or maybe break even. But the game did sell well. It's just that it cost so much to make that it actually wouldn't have been worth the cost to make a second game. But you can see the value of the property, the IP, or the property name LA Noire. It has value to it. It has enough value where they continuously, in a way, bring it back, right, in different kind of ways, always kind of stitched onto the original game. But I think that the classic, like an LA Noire 2, I said no. I think no is the answer. I think no is the answer for a very long time. Of all the games that they need to get to, like Bully 2, GTA 6, probably a Red Dead 3, those would probably all be on the docket first before an LA Noire 2. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's a no for like the next 20, 30. Like, I do see eventually there is value to the property. I do think it's possible that one day we get a return, or we get something like we've seen with remakes, with these kind of things in general, where it's a pulse test, right? Do people still care about the property? I think that even though it's been so long, it's been like, I think it came out in 2011, so it's been almost 10 years since it came out, but I still think they know the pulse test. They know that people still like this game. That's why they've given us, different variations kind of this game throughout the last, basically decade, right? So it's in a weird spot because it's been so long since we got it. It's been such a long time, but it's not in a position for them to test if people want it, because they kind of know there are people out there that like it. There always has been. It's just because of the studio, pretty much. And so because of that, yeah, there would be value in an LA Noire 2. I think that if you just kind of did it smarter and you had better people at the head of it and it didn't cost you a bajillion dollars to make the game, you could probably break even or make money back off the game. And, obviously it's very rare that games like GTA and Red Dead break even. They obviously always make an insane amount of money because they're always so successful. So it is an anomaly that a game like LA Noire would actually not do that. So obviously if there would be a second one, it would need to be put together in a way where it's not going to lose them anything, right? So there is definitely a possibility. I think over the short-term future, I don't think it's going to happen. I think because you have so many other games you'd probably want to get to first, this game is probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years away at the absolute minimum. So I don't think it's a no for good. I think it's just a no for the next probably even for the next console generation, right? If there's like a PS6, then obviously maybe maybe for that one we could get something, right? So guys, let me know in the comments below. Also, again, check out that video. I'll try and find it. I'll link it maybe in the description below. Very, very good video to watch about LA Noire. Very interesting story to it, and obviously plays into what I talked about today. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed, have that bell icon hit, all of that good stuff, and I hope to see you all on the next video.